guys, as you know, I've had to buy a new computer, and what I bought and what I've decided, I was looking for something with not very big. So I was looking. The first thing is that I needed something with i7 or i9 processor. So I decided for i7 processor because I use it in old computers. I use it in first. My i7 was a7 3610QM from Asus A55 VM. Then I've got a Dell Inspiron with i7 6600HQ. This is Stellar processor, very nice 6th generation i7, and then I've got that Xiaomi Mi Notebook Pro 2020 with 15-inch display with i7 510U i7 processor, and I use also i7 in the Newt. In the Newt I have i7 8th generation 8550. It's i7 8559U processor. So I've got experience with 4 i7 processors, and everything works great. I had a better experience with AMD processor. I had AMD A8 APU in the old HP laptop, which was like a shit. So I'm not the biggest fan of AMD, and I know that the AMD Piper and AMD Ryzen 7 are really, really fast and good processors, but I just had a better experience with the cheaper versions. And most computers I had used Intel processors, so I wanted to stay with Intel. So I was looking for something with i7, and I was looking for something where I can add memory, which will have 32GB RAM, or I can put 32GB RAM, so this is expandable. So I've taken Dell Latitude 4590. No, sorry, not 4590, 5490. Sorry, 5490 with 14-inch IPS display, and that's not a glossy display. It's not a glossy. It's standard display. And the thing is, why I've decided for this one. I've got a few Dell computers from a Latitude and for a Inspiron series, and I got a very good experience with Dell. Other thing is that most of Dell's had older versions had the standard chargers. Newer version can use standard chargers, or they can use USB Type-C charging. So that's a good idea that you are not stuck with only USB Type-C charging like in the Huawei or Xiaomi. You can use a standard charger with a bigger, heavier, but better. So you can make a choice. You can make a choice, and a choice is a good thing. So, and I have them i7 8650 i7 8th generation processor with 4-core 8 threads. I have dedicated graphics card, which is NVIDIA GeForce MX 150. In the older one I've got MX 350, but it's not the most important thing for me, so I decided mostly on the processor and the RAM, and 2 slots for the RAM, and in the price was 2 memory packs, so it was 2 packs for 16GB each, so there's a 32GB DDR4 memory. Great thing, it was the double channel, it's fast, a lot of RAM, because in the last computer I had a 16GB of RAM. I decided that if I had to now to change the computer, that's a great thing to get something with a bigger RAM. 32GB is enough for me. 32GB forward for me. I had also 32GB in the Newt, which was the best decision, I think. 8GB is definitely too small. 16GB it can work, but it's not very. But 32 is the better option now. 32GB, and then this Dell Latitude was released in a free version, so I have to check which version is available on that on a sale. First version had a 2.5-inch SATA spinning up classic hard drive. The second version had the M2 SATA SSD, and the third version had M2 NVMe PCI Express SSD. So I had to check, is it a version compatible with M2 or a standard 2.5-inch SATA, because if you choose the wrong, you will need to buy special adapter, which is not available. It's hard to buy it on the internet, so it's a good idea to check before, because if you have a computer with a 2.5-inch drive, it will be hard for you to change it. You can change to another 2.5-inch SSD drive, which will be better and faster. But if you want to move from a 2.5-inch to M2, you will need to buy a special adapter, which will be hard. So it's the best idea to find the Dell Latitude with a M2 drive. It can be SATA or NVMe, because if you have a M2 slot, you just remove a hard drive and you put another one, and everything works great. So I've asked which drive is in that item, and they told me there is a M2 drive, and this is M2 NVMe. So I've decided to buy this computer, but I know that from an old one I will have a drive, but that drive from old computer was used for 3 years without turning off. So I've decided that the drive from old computer will go onto a USB enclosure. I will put in a USB enclosure, there will be a place for this drive, and I will buy a new drive to this new computer. So I had to buy a new hard drive, SSD drive, new M2 SSD NVMe, 4th generation NVMe, really fast drive, 1 TB capacity to my computer. And I had to buy a new charger, because with this computer I've got 65 watts third-party charger. And when I've checked on a Dell website and on this computer model, it was written that the minimum is 90 watts. Because there's a 19.5 volt with 4.74 ampere minimum 90 watts. So I've decided to throw away that first-party charger and to buy two new original chargers. But I decided to take with more power. Instead of 90 watts, 4.74 amperes, I've decided to buy 13 ampere charger, of course with the same voltage than 19.5 volts, which means that I have 240 watts. Because with 13 amperes multiplied by 19.5, you have 240 watts. The minimum charger is 90 watts, so it's twice more. I've made the same situation, with my Newt, because with a Newt I've got a 90 watts charger, 19 volts, not 19.5, 19 volts, and 90 watts. 19 volts. So I decided to buy it twice bigger, and I've bought a charger to my Intel Newt, which is 19 volts but 180 watt, which is twice bigger. Because when I use for a video production and you use a standard charger, it will get very hot. If you buy a bigger charger, which is made for a bigger power consumption, you have a heating and cooling equipment inside for a higher consumption, so it will be not as hot as that original one, so it will be better for you. So always when I buy a computer, instead of a Newt or laptop, I always buy a new charger for it. So I had to pay for a computer, I had to pay for one new SSD drive for it, and I had to pay for a charger, for 2 chargers. But it was a very good idea to buy it, because it was a computer from a leasing with a very good configuration, and it's a little smaller. It's not 15.6 inch display as in the older Xiaomi, but it's Dell Latitude from 14-inch with a business style computer, and it works great. New hard drive, new charger, and everything works correctly. And the most stressful situation was that the old computer broke down on a Wednesday, and on the Thursday I had to buy for the next day the new one. I got the new one on a Thursday, and I had to make the whole installation really fast in the same day to be able to use it. So that's a very hard thing. But the Latitude is a really great brand and series. The computers are really great, and Latitude service is also great. So from my point of view, I've made a very good decision. From my other point, I didn't have a lot of time, so I had to do everything fast. Thanks for watching, and I'm gonna catch you later.